You don't need that, don't worry. Cool.
Yeah, we're
now.
Yeah.
Observation 1, resolution analysis. Resolution: the United States government should accede to one or more demands of the Brazilian government concerning the agricultural policy of the United States. Judge acts as policymakers and weigh around through net benefits. Observation 2 is going to be the adherence to the A's of the Farm Bill is not passed down. Not only is Congress not cooperating with each other. For instance, the Senate bill did, however, didn't pass. However, the House Agricultural Committee has passed a completely different bill that absolutely contradicts it. Furthermore, the funding for the House bill will be held up to the fact that a vast majority is for food stamps, which simply will not pass the GOP House. Next term is also the 10-month extension. Includes $2 billion in cotton subsidies. But the B is also the Brazil's absolutely unsatisfied. Not only they're not happy about the 10-month extension, but also they said that they're ambassador to the WTO. So this leaves Brazilian farmers worse off. But the C is also going to be that Brazil will be the new Midwest of the world. Washington Post shows that the new green revolution is increasing Brazil, which allows the Midwest to decrease the food prices across the world. The D is also that increases the farm subsidy. It decreases farm subsidy. Decreased farm subsidy occurring right now in the status quo. Not only $30 billion tax credit expired, but also Obama's proposed that $32 billion will be cut in the next decade. Furthermore, in 2005, there was a proposal that was agreed to tentatively by the United States, China, and the European Union to cut, but no one's taken the first step. Therefore, the plan text. The United States federal government should end all of its subsidies for the production of cotton in the United States. I'll repeat, the United States federal government should end all its subsidies for the production of cotton inside the United States. Observation 3 is going to be solvency. The 1 is going to be an increase in competition of competitive prices of cotton. According to Oxfam, they would increase the price by 10% globally, but also the U.S. subsidies to decrease the prices via overproduction. For instance, cost Brazilian farmers every single year $500 billion. But the B is also the United States continues to keep the prices low. For instance, costing them what is this? Oh, it increases the Brazil's promise not to retaliate in a world where we we're in a world where we repeal right now. We currently pay the Brazilians about $150 billion a year. This is the agreement is to decrease this in a world where we stop our subsidies. Therefore, we do that. Advantage 1 is to be poverty. AC needs one of the cotton subsidies absolutely are dumping cheap cotton all over the world. One allows American brokers to manipulate prices worldwide, which decreases the possibility of access to world cotton. For instance, 78% of all the cotton subsidies go to 10% of all the cotton in the world. But furthermore, they allow them to plant. It gives the incentive to plant cotton even when the price is low, which further decreases the price. The B is solvency. 1, we increase possibility of modeling. In 2005, everyone signed on to this, including China, the European Union. They're only waiting for someone to actually take the first step. But furthermore, it signals the United States that in a world where you don't actually cut your cotton subsidies well, you will be facing tariffs because the United States will take you to the WTO, but furthermore, we tell you this is also the biggest allowance because even in a world where only the United States does this would be a huge breakthrough for farmers in Africa. But the 2 is also going to be the cotton subsidies, therefore to actually decrease in particular for farmers in Africa. For instance, the 4 largest countries in Africa in West Africa that are cotton producing are all negatively impacted by this. According to Oxfam in 2003, they cost them $191 million every single year. Come on, there you go. C is internal links. The 1 is going to be the West African farmers absolutely relying on cotton. For instance, the C4 of cotton, nearly 10% of their GDP is entirely cotton. Also, 60% of all their export revenues is cotton. But furthermore, it's the number 1 cash crop for them right now in the status quo. But the 2 is also going to be the cotton that are absolutely key and critical to their labor force. For instance, in Benin, 28% of their labor force is cotton. Also, 7% for Burkina Faso, 10% for Chad, and also 17% for Mali. The 3rd arm is also absolutely key to the Brazilian economy. For instance, in 2009, it was increased by 3%, up to $3.5 billion. But furthermore, 6,800 farms of 1 million hectares are relying on cotton in particular. But furthermore, they increased their exports by 1.5%, but the D is the impacts. 1 is an increase in quality of life in Africa. We tell you 10 million people are relying on this, and in particular, we tell the poverty kills due to the fact that this is systemic. We tell you should prefer this impact because it is occurring right now as opposed to the potential impacts of the plan case. But furthermore, we tell you that absolutely we're focused on the pain and suffering is absolutely good for a couple of reasons. 1, the pain overlap is absolutely critical. It means that this psychological pain and neurological emotional pain come from the same place, which means a increased focus on one results in an increased focus on other, even if it is someone else. It allows for the increase of our own. But the 2 is also going to be the food what's this? Oh yeah, poverty is the root cause of violence. Not only is the root cause of patriarchal violence because in a world of unemployment and partner violence increases about by 50%, but also in a world of decreased economy, individuals rely on the tribal structure more so, which increases possibility of resources in a world of increased scarcity, which inevitably bring in great powers. For instance, West Africa, the CIA would always get jumping into these kind of conflicts during Cold War. But furthermore, African conflicts are absolutely deadly. They killed 12.3 million people in the last 10 years, but furthermore, in the status quo, they're killing 250,000 in this year alone. Advantage 2 is market collapse. A is going to be the cross-retaliation status quo is inevitable from Brazil. 1, the WTO, the settlement they engaged the Brazilians said that they have a right to cross-retaliate in a world where we can continue our cotton subsidies. However, they've not done so because they said, we'll wait for you to iron out your details regarding the Farm Bill. However, the failure to do so, the Brazilian ambassador said that they would retaliate sometime in 2013, which means this would increase the possibility of tariffs, but also suspend IPR for several American products. The B is going to be the links. 1, in a world where they have no access, that means that not only is in a world where we remove our cotton subsidies, it means they have no legal right to do so. so. But the two argument is also going to be if the WTO, in a world that does not have the WTO now suspends patent rights for several things, which means that the Brazilians would have the access to produce these without giving any kind of profit or royalties to the American producers, particularly medical and agrochemicals. But the C is going to be internal links. The one IPR is absolutely key to the American economy. First and foremost, this is absolutely key. No, current piracy right now is absolutely minor. It's only focused on one, the entertainment industry. Also, the fact it's illegal stops a lot of people. In addition, it's mainly individuals who are far too ignorant to know about the legal means of purchasing. But the two arguments also going to be the removing all patents would be absolutely horrible because it would decrease profits, which means they would have no ability to profit off these. The two sectors of the economy we asked that are agrochemicals and medical care, which is 1/8 of the entire economy. But the C is going to be the internal links. One, it would decrease business confidence because it would signal to the world that possibly their own patent rights would be up for suspension. Furthermore, we saw that agrochemicals is absolutely key to the American economy and to increase by $20.5 billion. Furthermore, medical chemicals also increased by $250 billion. But furthermore, we tell you that the IPR is absolutely critical because it's America is increasing all of its share in each of these. For instance, increasing its share of medical chemicals by 57%, but also increasing its share of biopharmaceuticals by 61%. And we would estimate the entire world and the entire American economy, 4 million jobs are particularly dependent on this, and it's expected to increase by $917 billion. These the impacts. One, we tell the American economy is absolutely on the brink right now to the fact that it has grown, but the growing pace, according to the Federal Reserve, has been moderate. Furthermore, there's no macroeconomic policies left after 2008, but furthermore, the rest of the world is still on the brink left from 2008 with 200 million people unemployed worldwide. But the two arguments is also going to be that this would increase the possibility of death in worldwide unemployment for every 24 people that are unemployed, 9 people across the world die. But furthermore, your ability to die of disease increases 25% in a world where you are unemployed. Third argument is going to lead to a massive increase of war. One, the world decreased economy leads to increased protectionism. You can look exactly what the bank crash led to the Smoot-Hawley tariffs, resulting in Great Depression. We tell you that, for instance, the poll of businesses showed that 78% would increase their support for protectionist measures to defend themselves in a world of decreased economy, which means this increased possibility of warning. For instance, the Smoot-Hawley tariffs led to not only the era of the Great Depression, but also the rise of ethnic fascism leading to World War II, but also the increased protectionism leading to exactly to World War I, which means this decrease in the economic interdependence that it keeps China from the United States going to war, which means this would lead to a massive conventional war between the two of them. We would tell you that this would possibly lead to extinction. Not only would billions be killed like they were in World War II, but furthermore, the massive conventional war would lead to extinction because it would lead to a massive fossil fuel spike, which would put us over the brink of the 400 parts per million of CO2. It would result in a feedback loop, the Venus syndrome, where the global warming becomes faster and faster and faster, resulting in the acidification of the ocean, which is the source of 50% of our oxygen, which means no one can breathe anymore, and this would occur within a couple of years.
I stop now. The order. 4 off. Wait. Yeah, 4 off. Good. And then paste.
I got you.
Good. Okay.
The exposed the interpretation as accede means only to access approval. B, these violation, you change the policy, but you don't only do it through public perception. C, standards first argument here is the plan is extra topical as far as you. All the advantages are predicated off of a policy change, not a perception change. The second argument here is grammar. You have to use the first definition. Our definition, the first one, Merriam-Webster, which is the reason that's why we have to have this to have access to the debate. These supporters voted first argument, fairness first, not fair voted to way by which you value the ground. Is that?
Repeat the interpretation.
A, the interpretation accedes means only to express approval. The violation is that's extra topical. Is that? The exponent in this first argument here is that in August or September 2013 is going to be the election for Chavez as a successor in Venezuela. The second argument here is that Maduro is going to be winning status quo insofar as the challenges are, but the challenges are strong. The third argument here is that there will also be a legislative assembly after the election, which means that the presidential election has an effect on the balance of power, which means that the assembly seats are going to be also up for grabs, which means that how far the president wins, the margin by which the president wins, which means how much they're going to let him actually do his policy. These links the first argument here's the plan looks like a concession by the United States to Latin America, which reduces in Venezuela the ability of Maduro's power because he can't rally around anti-American policies. And the second argument here is that Maduro's going to be doing worse in the election, which means that he's going to be underperforming. We're not making the argument he's going to be losing. We're just going to be saying that the margin is a lot smaller. The third argument here is that the assembly has a stronger balance of power vis-a-vis the president. The C support of the inverse. The first argument here is that the assembly is going to be able to be interested in oil liberalization. That's what they've historically wanted to do. The Chavez has nationalized the oil policy, which Maduro is going to be too weak to stop liberalization because he's going to be winning by such a small margin. The A support here is that the oil bubble is still going to be high because the growth is going to be able to be solved with slow liberalization. But the B support is that rapid liberalization, which is going to be happening by the election, by the assembly post-election when he doesn't win by that much, means that there's going to be an economic collapse because the bubble popping is going to be infinitely worse. The Z supported here, this is going to be causing the radicalization of Venezuela and also massive poverty because nobody's going to be able to do anything. And D supported here is that since they supply 40% of the world's oil, it's going to be causing a world economic collapse because people are so invested in Venezuela's oil, it's just going to be like the collateralized debt obligation and the mortgage-backed securities all over again. Second off. Third off. The eighth point of the first argument is the continuing resolution is going to be passing the status quo. The second argument here is the appropriations committee chairman Mikulski and Senator Shelby said that they want to do. The third argument here is that Senator McCain and Colburn have dropped their opposition since last Friday. The fourth argument here is that Mitch McConnell said that there's nobody really has an interest in a total government shutdown. And the fifth argument here is that the House has already passed a version of the continuing resolution, which means it has momentum. The status quo with the links. The first argument here is you pass a liberal plan, which is as a concession to Brazil, which means that the GOP is going to be backlash because it's angered because McConnell they're going to think that the base has sold them out. That the second argument here is the GOP also fears backlash from primary voters because they're in gerrymandered districts, which they have to cater to the people who are the most extreme. The sees the point of the internal links. The first argument here is the sequester cuts cutting back the Pentagon spending by hundreds of millions of dollars. The second argument here is the current spending is going to absolutely key to security programs because the key to checking back North Korea. The third argument here is the United States needs to defend its hard policy was in order to have any kind of hegemonic power projection in Asia. The fourth argument here is that North Korea knows that we're not watching. They're going to be still going on their adventurous policy, which North Korea strikes South Korea, which because there's no support of the United States there. These point is the impact. The first argument here is the massive amounts of war as far as the United States is no longer to have its hegemonic power projection means that the war is going to happen comparatively faster, which means that we short circuit the entirety of your offense. The second argument here is South Korea and North Korea war is going to be really, really bad as far as they draw on all the allies in a global nuclear war. The third argument here is that refugee flows are going to be causing massive amounts of instability, which cause massive amounts of pandemics and things. Anything else? Fourth off. The eighth point is the first argument that here's that we link through net benefits. We just clarify what a net benefit is. The second argument that here's the questions of epistemology is always going to be coming first. And so far, the A is that they're logically prior because you can't actually do anything without understanding the reason why you know the things that you know. The B subordinate here is also the only way to ensure moral decision making. The third argument is that you must oppose morally unacceptable policies at every single turn because situational ethics means that no actions are foreclosed, which makes morality useless. The fourth argument is that the affirmative is responsible for the entirety of the Speech Act because it frames the rest of the debate because you can't take back language. The B subordinate is the links. The first argument is that agricultural policy is an attempt to manage how plants are grown and traded. Particularly, it is grown for who can grow most efficiently and who is the fairest distribution. You make these arguments in the affirmative when you say that we should allow Brazil to have it because it would be the most fair distribution so that their farmers can actually live. The second argument is this is a violently oriented encounter with the plant life because we are basically looking at them and just trying to extract as much value out of it as possible. The third argument here is that the plant treats agricultural policy as a bargaining chip. It's the idea that you can grow in the natural world and then trade this as some kind of bargaining chip to another country commodifies the natural world and solidifies it as outside the Cartesian ego, which means that you have to understand that something is outside of you in order to be able to trade it. I think that we couldn't ask for a better link to Heidegger. The sixth point is the impact. The first argument is that this non-holistic approach to the environment allows the spillover, which means that you always permit industries to pollute and do bad things, which means that we see human consumption as outside the environmental concerns. The eighth point is here is degradation is inevitable. The reason that the root cause as to why there's no ability to actually grow other crops in these areas is because of these eco-managerialism that we criticize. The second argument is that you reduce nature to a standing reserve valuable only insofar as it benefits human. The eighth point is you can cross-apply the argument that makes degradation inevitable. The B's point is also that you preclude nature as a source of non-utilitarian value. This is key to value slide. This is going to be a very important argument around as far as you make things interchangeable. The ultimate thing is cotton because you see these agricultural things as the ultimate commodifications. The third argument in here is this particularly devastating because crops are the ultimate commodity. You try to convert plants into commodities that are numbers that can just go up and down on stock tickers. The fourth argument is that this is the root cause of environmental destruction and crop manipulation and failure. Crop failures occur because of human devices, monoculture, and things like that are a byproduct of agricultural policy. You might want to make you might go and try to make the argument that the agricultural will solve, but you can't solve the mindset of management. Our argument is that is the root cause. The fifth argument is that Brazil is a key example because they have acres of rainforest being destroyed every single second by the timber industry, which is the reason why their eco-managerialism is uniquely terrible. The sixth argument here is the quantification means there's no value to life. In the 1800s, you could buy slaves as commodities on the stock exchanges. The New York Stock Exchange literally had them as a high-volume commodity, which is the reason why this is a real impact. The alternative, reject the alt. Repeat, the alternative is reject the alt. Our first argument is this creates, sorry, give me 1 second. Oh yeah. The first argument is this creates a ability for us to actually reorient our understanding with nature and actually see the way that we understand nature as something bad. The second argument here is that you have to reject the affirmative in all instances, otherwise the perm is never going to be able to solve. The third argument is that the reason as to why the perm is never going to be able to solve is because the perm still has the kind of eco-managerialism that we criticize, which means that you will simultaneously violently encounter the world, which means that your Hegelian dialect argument that said you have to combine the two are never going to be doing anything because it's only going to be totalizing the other. Doing the perm fundamentally changes the nature of the all, which means that you're never going to be able to solve. Anything else you want? Okay, go on a case. On case. First, go to the cross-retaliation. Our first argument in cross-retaliation is that there's a new agricultural minister, which means that they're not going to be wanting to do it because the new agricultural minister has specifically tried to stop inflation, which is the reason as why they're going to be looking bad if they try to do something because if they cross-retaliate and stop patenting, it's going to be flooding Brazil with a bunch of random things which causes massive amounts of inflation, which runs counter to their thesis right now. The second argument here is that there's no reason as to why, even if they do the thing, they don't have a comparative advantage, which means that the United States still controls the manufacturing sector of these things, which means that yes, even if they have the ability to sell generic drugs as even if they have the ability to sell patented drugs drugs as generics, that still means that they're never going to be able to solve. Additionally, the third argument is that the monetary policy, you say that the econ is on the brink of the United States, but monetary policy is going to be able to solve because the quantitative easing and large-scale asset purchases are still going to be able to solve. But the fourth argument is that different monetary policy is better. You say that it's going to be just like the Great Depression, but different monetary policy means that we're not tied to the gold standard anymore, which is the reason as to why this is going to be uniquely different. Also, you say conventional warfare, but there's not an existential threat, which means that there's no reason as to why they're going to be going into resource war. Also, we solve the root cause of resource wars. Go to advantage one poverty. You say that there's that Brazil has no. You say that there's cheap cotton right now, and that's all the problem. But our argument is one: Brazil still doesn't have the comparative advantage, which means that if the United States takes out its subsidies, other countries that still have subsidies are just going to be going at, like, all the cotton is just going to be produced there, not Brazil. You don't make any reason as to why Brazil has the comparative advantage, which means that it's not going to be solving anything. The second argument here is that you say the modeling, but we say we're going to be stopping modeling because you re-entrench other countries' subsidies because now the cotton flows to other countries, not Brazil. The third argument that I want you to go for here is that you say the pain overlaps, and the reason as to why everybody feels pain is because of poverty, but our argument is that the reason as to why people are in poverty is because of materialism, which means that the reason for poverty is that the decay turns the entirety of the case. Additionally, we are saying that they all solve the entirety of the case because we solve all the root causes.
Good?
Yeah. All right. Well, the order is going to be T, then case arguments, then the Venezuela politics dissad, the U.S. politics dissad, then criticism and order.
Can you say that again? Sorry.
Topicality.
Yeah.
App. I didn't hear you go from advantage two to advantage one, so I just got to list right now. So that's what I'll talk about. Venezuela politics, U.S. politics, alternatives, or well, then the criticism. Okay.
Yeah.
One, we express approval by eliminating U.S. cotton subsidies. Two is going to be the counter-interpretation. C means to be able to change policy and as Brazil requests, and several counterstands here. The 8th point is going to be affirmative ground. There's no possible affirmative ground for unique offense in a world where we only acknowledge the concerns of Brazil. That's already happened, which means it's impossible. Your affirmative is worse for limits out the affirmative, and also we are best for context. Our affirmative has actually been suggested, and cotton subsidies are specifically topical when it comes to Brazil. That specifically requested the WTO, which means we provide the best ground for the best discussion of impacts. Also, your criticism can always be read on could be read on any topic anyways. Also, this is the only way you get links to your disads. B, customer perception would probably be irrelevant. Also, case. Yeah. Error affirmative on topicality, it's a kill shot for us, which means you error on the negative for reasonability. It's a question of who gets the most ground. We give people ground. That's good. Including us. Advantage 2. Watch that. Okay. Group their, or actually, yeah, their first argument is that these other countries will be able to produce cheap goods. What is this?
No, they won't. These are reasons why they won't cross-retaliate.
Oh, sure, cross-retaliation. They're absolutely going to cross-retaliate. Extend the number 1. The WTO said they're going to cross-retaliate, and they already given them permission. It's only a question of when Brazil decides to do it. They're waiting to see what the United States does on the question of cotton subsidies. Also, they will be able to produce cheap goods because, also next, they're number 2. They say they won't be able to manufacture these cheap goods, but our argument is that development, they will have the development capacity to do that. They already developed generic drugs. Our question is only a question of whether or not patent infringement is applied. Also, next group, their monetary policy arguments. You extend our argument from the bottom. The monetary policy has been exhausted. Since 2008, we already pumped $85 billion a month into the U.S. economy, which means their monetary policy arguments have no uniqueness whatsoever. We're already doing that. And next to the number, next to the other arguments that the other countries are just going to fill the gap for cotton. Extend our advantage number 1 that says that other countries are going to repeal. Other countries are going to repeal their cotton subsidies in order for because it looks like because they fear tariffs from the United States, which means that we're able to resolve this question. Also, you say no modeling because they're just going to go to other countries again. Other countries would fear sanctions or retaliatory trade tariffs by the United States, which means there's no way for these to be able. Also, you say materialism through cause of poverty. We'll answer those arguments on the we'll answer those arguments on the extend our argument we solve for poverty. We will answer those arguments specifically. Even if materialism is the root cause, we still alleviate the material condition of poverty. What's up?
Yeah, extend the Africa scenario explicitly. There's the only response to Brazil, not Africa.
Right. Extend our Africa scenario. Anyways, even if we were to diversify cotton production in Africa as well, to provide an immense benefit to everyone involved. Okay. This is Chavez dissad. One U.S. intervention in Latin America. U.S. intervention in Latin America is waning the status quo. First of all, it's going to be the U.S. has reduced its anti-drug policy in the has reduced anti-drug policy in the region, and it looks like this is reducing the ability for this person to say beat a hardline stance against the United States. But two is also the United States has increased its diversity, is increasing its focus on Asia as well as demonstrated by the Asian pivot, which means that U.S. international attention is on the Pacific, not in Latin America right now. No way for them to be able to resolve this. Also, next going to be link turns one. The plan resolves the diverse issues that this person could address in questions of U.S.-Latin America relations by allowing them to focus more on anti-drug policy and the fumigation and stuff that we do right now, which means that right now he has to diversify his criticism of the United States, but allows him to consolidate his message into one issue and really mobilize voters instead of having to split time over other issues. Also, no link this mighty trade policy with Brazil is impossible for to be modeled by Chavez. Larger concerns like U.S. military deployments overseas are a much bigger internal link. What's up?
Brazil and the United States have been super chummy lately, which means you just see this as a circle.
Additionally, Brazil and the United States have been super chummy lately, which also answers your needs for this. Also, you have no terminal impact. You just say that it would cause oil liberalization, but that's only possible. That doesn't matter. He's still going to do that because of the vast interests that he would have to open up Venezuela's economy by other countries. It's irrelevant on whether or not how much he wins the election by. U.S. politics. No chance of continuing resolution. Republicans are pissed off in the status quo. Confirmations prove this. Democrat Brennan and Hale were both filibustered and had 63 maximum 63 confirmation votes. But second is going to be Obama's also said that he wants to spend $2 billion on the energy security trust, which is working out Republicans as it looks like spending a bunch of money for hippie energies nobody believes in. And next, they're also torqued off because Obama capped out of Russia 3 days ago on the question of missile defense in Europe. He totally bowed to Russian pressure and said they weren't going to do that, which means that they're already they're backing off. It looks like that's vast liberal policies that would have posed data uniqueness also. Political capital is extremely low. The status quo, he was just beating them 3 days on Capitol Hill with absolutely nothing got done, means there's no zero uniqueness for this argument. But we have several link turns. First, it's going to be the GOP would love the plan because it looks like trade relations are going to be able to be increased. We definitely increase the bilateral trade between these two countries. GOP love that, and also love and love free trade, which is what the plan essentially does. But second, the link turn also looks good because it specifically targets the unions that are concentrated in the agricultural sector, which means and Republicans also hate that, which means that they would also love the plan. Also, no internal link. The focus is on corn production. Also, this can be functions of link turn. The plan centralized. The plan allows for subsidies on corn to remain, which are on corn to remain. The plan would look like a token gesture to anti-subsidy folks, which would preserve the larger interest in corn, which is key to Republicans. They love that. They're from Iowa and stuff. All right. On the criticism. First, no way to solve your alternative says reject the all. Your alternative says reject the all. This is a plan file. You didn't give it as text. Also, you repeat the all several times and say reject the all, which means there's no way to be able to resolve this. Your alternative is impossible to implement because rejecting the alternative would mean you automatically vote affirmative. But secondly, you have no advocacy to solve for your solvency arguments about why rejecting the affirmative would be good. The ballot doesn't do that, and your advocacy does not do that either. Additionally, the next argument would be the permutation. Do the plan and reject whatever your alternative is, which has several net benefits. The 8 points could be Butler's. Said that we can have joint epistemologies, but still come together to coalesce around actions that provided that are net beneficial. The net benefit is the affirmative in this instance. But next is going to be the next benefit is Campbell's argument that by only focusing on epistemology and how we know things, we allow suffering to continue. For example, the contradiction on whether the discussion of whether or not we should call something genocide or ethnic cleansing, and stops us from actually intervening when 800,000 people are dying in Rwanda, which is a reason why epistemology does not matter in this instance. Also, contradictions are good. Next net benefit is contradiction good. The plan is a permutation of the simulated death of the plan, which allows for a new epistemological possibility to arise from the contradictions that create that juxtaposition is good. In this instance, also next to the plan is critical to developing movements. The plan can next benefit is movements. Plan is key to rallying anti-globalization movements around the permutation, because not only can we also reject equal-minded managerialism, but also we can adopt this policy, which is basically good. The only way to create a politically viable movement is to adopt the permutation, but also the next that's all we need. Okay.
Next argument is that human vices are the root cause of environmental exploitation, not the essence of managerialism itself. And the exploitation of the environment is entrenched in human nature. There's not a way to separate ourselves from the environment because we perceive ourselves to exist externally to the environment. Next is going to be your alternative also. Does not resolve that question as well. Next, they are the ultimate they are the ultimate commodification of the environment because they posit the environment as this pristine resource that has to be protected at all costs, justifies genocide, and the protection of that resource at any cost between the most marginal populations are vulnerable. Next can be turned the concept of the value of life being good is only possible. The concept of no value of life is the only precondition for a world where no value of life is possible. Affirming that there's always a possible value of life means that you not only vote for the affirm, but also you protect the world from a condition where we can say there's no value of life, which allows the just germination of populations wholesale, like they say.
TM talk very quick. That's going to politics very quick. Venezuela. Which politics? It's going to be Venezuela politics. And then it's going to be the US politics. And it's going to be the framework. It's going to be the alternative. And the links.
You say that again.
It's going to be T. Then it's going to be Venezuelan politics, the election politics. Then it's going to be the argument about the sequestration. Then it's going to be the AK. And then it's going to be KISS.
Extend not to go for no risk of argument. I don't let the grant there. Also, go to the Venezuelan politics page. You first argue, you say Brazil's already looking chummy, which means there's absolutely no unique status, no perception, because it's such small policy, which means which means no links to Venezuela just to go to the election arbors or your arbors and numbers how Obama has already passed the sequestration plan, and it's the real indication the links would have been triggered already, which means the numbers also take out all of your linkers, which means there's no propensity to this impact, but also there's no risk of offense off. This argument in the first place, because we are going with the case prior to question 2, this policy argument in a world where we do not engage with actual substance, in the world where we don't get to actually engage with substance. The merry-go, the framework doing first arguments you can stand. The argument that epistemology comes first because logic probably can understand our assumptions of the world where we don't engage our epistemology. We don't even know what that benefit of the world. We don't understand the world that. As you can see, the arguments of why it's logic probably why you lose debate around. Also, you can see the arguments actually critical to policy decision making because the only way you can understand what the notion of that benefit is by engaging epistemological frame. It's also takes also your ethic arguments. Also, you said the argument where particular ethics bad. You should directly invade moral policies at every turn, which means the permutation never functions because there's always an infinite exception. The permutation also you extend the speech tag, which means the permutation always is, which means the permutation is always going to be linked. Also, any risk related is resolved by this framework because it's absolutely relevant if we engage in the United States power procession realm where if you have absolute illusion that the actually happens in the real world. The only questions that we morally orient ourselves towards are where will the environment go to the alternative debate. First argument they say we plan flaw not true. Our articulation that you should reject the affirmative, reject the affirmative. That was our plan text, not reject the alternative. That doesn't make any sense. Which means this is an asinine argument debate, right? Especially in war we're criticism. But also, you say yeah.
POIs check back.
But also POIs jail. But also the POIs check back. But also you say permutation do. The plan to reject R is strictly reject alpha, which means any extra play would actually be intrinsic permutation. Reason why you would actually never look the debate right. But also you say Butler combining together multiple sentences with you. You see the permutation still links, especially when we're winning root cause value impacts. Reason why the permutation would actually outweigh any benefit. You also say combination of multiple ontologies. No risk combining. There's no reason why you combine multiple ontologies when the thing you're combining is bad. Only destroys the independent movement. Also, you can see the alternative resolve is rejection. No one can solve because it would actually allow for a type of managerialism, which means the alternative would always be exceptionalized in the future, which means there's no presence to solve. But also, you say Campbell focused on political analysis. Our case for our question: the world where if you have solutions, no political responsibility because we're not political actions in the debate room. But also, we frame the directions, impacts in a world where we actually understand and clarify what net benefit is and how that benefit is how it functions in the Constitution of the debate room, which means your genocide impacts are solved by the criticism of the world where you can see the argument solves case because the reason why
poverty happens and ecological things that get fucked up happens because we manage the environment, which means that this is also an ethic towards, which means it's also an ethic towards the other, which means there is no instance of cannibal argument. Also, these are contradictions. Good reason why. If friends totality in the future, no benefit contradiction. You don't expect to play out as a contradiction, but also would be a contradiction to be around because you would prioritize the plan text over the rejection, which means it's not a contradiction. There's no notion that benefit all your contradiction, no benefit all your contradiction, but also this argument still links, which means we control the root of value life, which means there's no benefit. Also, you say juxtaposition critical, you say juxtaposition, no reason why juxtaposition critical when the permutation still links. Also, you say that movements are good. We are not a movement argument. We are an ethical decision making. That is concealed out of the frame, which means the movement has no impact to make around. We are not Marco political. Sorry, but also you make the same arguments to why the permutation creates movements in the future. No reason why when you can see the argument ethics is absolutely key. You said the alternative argument, the rejection is absolutely critical. That is a conceded argument. The reason why the permutation would never resolve, but also you can accept the argument to reject in every single instance, which means there's no movement to permutation, but also group the entirety of the permutation, multiple descents of permutation. The ace point is this creates an infinite ethic of exceptionalism. Is you put the alternative to practice plan, which means there will always be exceptionalism in the future, but also you can see the argument that if you're able to do this completely in the future, you would never be able to solve managementalism. This is the same type of footnote that allows the environment to be destroyed, but also the next is that it's an independent act of managerialism because you would try to construe the alternative in the ways that are only intelligible to fiat policy, which destroys all my life in terms. The alternative is trace standard reserve, which is the reason why you never solve any of these impacts in the first place. Also, most obviously the permutation still links you can see the alternative solves the entirety of the case. Can we solve the root cause of managerialism policy? That is devastating, which means you're never going to be leveraged in that benefit to the permutation. Go to the link debate. Yeah, which means you always go to link debate. Yeah, go to link debate. But also, you make the arguments why human violence is the transformed nature. Our argument is not how humans function, but rather how humans should function. But rather that it can see the arguments was a question of morality, which means it doesn't matter if human violence. But also, we argue that it's absolutely not possible because humans have been able to actually engage in environment in a way that is not managerial. That is not managerial. Their conservation movements that exist in the status quo. This reason why is empirical evidence that people don't exploit the environment in every single instance. But also, use the distinction that way. Ways we solve your extinction impacts and we solve the root cause your impacts in the first place, but also you say the alternatives no resolve themselves, but you can see the arguments of why a moral acceptance is absolutely critical in the debate around to actually solving the entirety of your impact, but also you make the arguments of why we prioritize that you would also protect the environment in this instance because we pass the plan, but our arguments you necessarily could see the linked arguments where you frame the environment is fungible, it's a fungible entity, which means you would have to be able to trade these arguments feature, which means absolutely do not solve any type of fungibility because it's the mindset, not your policies, the way in which you see the environment is inherently problematic, but also you make an argument why value life is a prerequisite to any type of action in status quo. We make arguments why we access the root cause of violent life to extend the link argument. This leads to a violent normalization of the environment. You see, the environment is only bargaining chip. You can see the way in which content form the subsidy is only intelligible in terms of how humans use content status quo, which means reason why you never resolve these links in the first place. You also say that violent life is key. We agree with the argument that violent life is key, but we said the way in which you frame the environment destroys all violent life. It also spills over to people, which is an impact link argument you can see, which means we can never understand people if we don't understand our environment. In fact, we can't orient ourselves towards the environment, which means that we can never understand people in the future, which means we control the internal nature of value life argument. Will go to the impact of various first. You can say the argument that makes degradation inevitable. This cross-plastic case impacts means environmental degradation poverty is also inevitable. Also, you say it converts the environment to standard reserve. No value life, which means in the world there's no value life. We've been separated from the way of the wind for natural foundry, which means there's no impact to your case. But also, you can see this empirically led to deforestation in the 1800s, which means your planet has no presence to solve. Also, you can see it's the root cause of all your impacts because when we evaluate things, they fungible matter that actually allows it justifies impending destruction upon the other. Go to the alternative debate. I know they're trying to go for this reject the argument. Reject the all, but that's absolutely silly. First argument, Andy's articulation was very, very clear. That means it's to reject the affirmative. That is our substantive alternative text, right? You could have POI'd it and point of ordered it, but that is an argument that's absolutely outside. Let's go to the case debate. Multiple reasons why you don't get access to the case today. First argument is you can see there's absolutely no risk of reforce wars. Our argument is that there's absolutely no propensity for trade war because these countries absolutely have no incentive to actually go to war. And they win a war with actually know it's going to fuck up the entirety of their economy. Also, you say that fucked up the entirety of their economy in the future, which means there is an impact argument. Also, you can see the argument that critique solves the entirety of the case because we assess the because of managerialism, the way in which managerialism manifests itself in the world. We exploit the environment, which is our K argument. this only leads to the fucked up agricultural policies, which is the reason why your policy actually, which is the reason why your policy actually have policy happens in the first place. Go to poverty impact. You make the arguments that you make the cross application in Africa are arguments that we also solve the root cause of that, because the way in which Africa's construction is, and nation food is the reason why these things are poor, because Western nations fucking managerialize Africa, which means that there's no interest in state reserve, which means you have no access in terms of the environment, which means also you can see the case solves the entire case. Actually, let's go back to criticism debate. I'm gonna go to the standing reserve argument on the link debate. They make the argument that we frame the environment as a standing reserve, which means it's a commodity. That is not true. We recognize the inviolability of the environment, which means we have to reject it every turn. We do not see the environment as a commodity. It does not lead to genocide. We solve the root cause of genocide. We solve a relation toward the other.
Overview is K in order. I mean, it's K in order. The order is K in order. And then case if there's time. Ready? There are three arguments in the framework that I want you to go for. The first argument that I want you to go for is the argument that we link through net benefits, but we clarified what net benefits what net benefits is. This is a reason as to why they're never going to be able to access any of the case, because they get all their offense is predicated on the ability of net benefits, but you can't understand what the net benefit is. The second argument that I want you to go for is the questions of epistemology always come first. They don't even make a claim to epistemology, so which means that they can't make a representation of the PMR, that they still justify their own claim as an epistemology, which means that you never interrogate the way that you know what you know. Two reasons as to why we're going to be winning the framework, but there's also an independent voter here. This we tell you that you must oppose morally unacceptable policies every single turn. That means that situational ethics, like the perm that you said that you can do both, is always going to be an independent reason to reject because it's morally unacceptable. I think in a world where you're conceding that, this is going to be an independent reason to vote negative. Go on to the links. On the links, the only argument that I want you to really respond to, because we're winning the links to agricultural policies and attempt to manage the environment, is the argument that you try to say that we see the nature as pristine. No, we literally just say reject. That's the reason as to why our alt is reject, is because we don't try to protect the environment. We don't try to do any kind of other managerialism. We just say reject the way that you orient yourself towards the other, the environment, which means that you always have a violent ontology when you encounter the environment, because you try to get as much value as you can out of it. We just say reject that kind of notion. Go into the impacts. The impacts are where we're going to be winning this round, because you can extend all of our arguments and say that we have two things that say no value to life, right? We say, one, the commodification of bodies is the reason as to why there's no value to life, because you can buy slaves as commodities, which means that the distance between humans and nature is going to be blurred in a world where you commodify things, which means the planet is never going to be able to uniquely solve for this. The second thing that we say no value to life is because you preclude nature as a source of non-utilitarian value. We tell you specifically that this makes bodies fungible, which means that there's never going to be any kind of value to life, which means that you can leverage the entirety of the case and you'll never get anywhere, because you're never going to get anything, because we tell you there's no value to any of your impacts. One, your impacts are incoherent because you don't know what a net benefit is. Two, even if your impacts are coherent, we tell you no value to life. We cross-apply this to the case for reasons why we're going to be winning. Go to the alt. On the alt, you can't go for the alternative flaw in the PMR. Look, there's a logical flow to the debate. Obviously, we're reading reject the AF arguments. Additionally, you don't rate a POI, which means that you never, you can't make any claims that you couldn't make any arguments because of the alt. Like, even if I did read it as reject the alt, I think that there's still a decent argument to be made that the flow of debate necessitates this reject the affirmative, right? Additionally, go on to Ryan's argument that tells you that multiple ontologies are bad in this instance because we make the specific articulation coming out of the LOC that the reason as to why you can't do both is because a violent ontology, which is trying to get as much value as you can, will always overwhelm the other one, which means that you fundamentally change the nature of the alternative in a world where you do the perm. I think this is always going to be a reason as to why you are going to be losing on the perm debate. But the second argument that I want you to go for here is that you say that Rwanda are dying, or people are dying, or people are not going to be able to do this because they're dead. But one, we solve the root cause, and two, even if you try to say that it's a prior question because nobody can self-actualize when they're dead, we say there's no value to life, which means that they try or die for the negative. This is an argument that goes cold conceded throughout the MG, which is the reason as to why we're always going to be winning. Then they can try to make an argument that says that we're not going to be able to have a movement, but we tell you specifically we're not a movement, we're not micropolitical. All we say is that you have to self-actualize and understand how you actually operate and your orientation with the environment. Also, you can cross-apply the reject in all instances, which is the reason as to why the perm is never going to be able to be voted on. In a world where they don't respond to the argument that you have to reject morally bad things in all instances, and we're winning arguments that they're morally bad, is the reason as to why you always vote for that first. Additionally, we're reading two specific permness as they say that exceptionalism is bad, but additionally, the other argument that I want you to extend is the argument that we make in the LOC that says the perm itself is an instance of managerialism because it's reformism. It's an attempt to do incremental changes with the ultimate goals of finding the right balance of eco-managerialism. This is the footnote argument that Brian makes in the MG, which is the reason as to why the perm is not going to be able to solve on case. We also have terminal defense on case. I think the terminal defense is going to be resolving this because we tell you specifically that they're not going to be wanting to do this kind of cross-retaliation because it'll flood the market with generic goods and they're trying to stop inflation. They don't respond to this. On poverty, we said that we solved the root cause of this. Additionally, we say that modeling, like nobody's going to be fearing tariffs in a world where they're getting all the revenue. Our argument is that the increase in revenue that they get from the United States is not enough to stop them from tariffs. So we have terminal defense. We have an independent voter that goes cold conceded when we told that you must morally oppose morally unacceptable things at every single turn. Remember, they don't even make a claim to epistemology or morality. They just try to make a link turn that we tell you we don't link turn because we don't try to manage the environment, which means the last thing they can go for is this asinine all-flaw debate that like they didn't ask a POI for.
Okay. It'll be case, the only argument they go for in case in the MO. The discussion on the links page, particularly the turns, the alt debate, and then back to the critique proper, and like the rest of the links debate. So it'll be on the critique, it'll be the turn discussion, the alt discussion, and then back to the links, like can you solve human evolution?
Look, multiple reasons why you're going to be voting for Will and I. There are too many independent net benefits to the perm and the planned proper to do not occur. Furthermore, any risk that the alts cannot solve every instance of poverty and suffering means you immediately vote for us because the poverty of people of West Africa can only be solved in a world of the plan. Go to the case proper, though. They're going to tell you that they give you a lot of incentives why it's not going to be happening. One, I think you can cross-apply all of Will's argument here that they will be able that these incentives actually, the arguments don't make sense. But furthermore, I think the simplest argument here is that they said they would do it. I think that answers all of your convoluted arguments here. They literally promised, yeah, we'll do this shit. You have to win the argument that no government author or no government politician would do anything irrational. Oops, wait, they do that shit all the time. Which means that they float out the argument the impact of poverty kills a boatload of people. They say it's going to be solved for. I think the argument on links are going to be damning here. Any risk that they do not solve for every instance of poverty and suffering means that this poverty and suffering can only be uniquely solved for with the plan proper and the perm. Those arguments on the solvency are going to be damning when we get to the argument that, look, human evolution says we will always be trying to manage and control the environment because we see ourselves evolutionarily as separate from it, which means you probably can't solve every instance, which means this instance is probably not solved for. It can only be solved for with the plan and the perm. Go to the turn discussion. These two are absolutely damning because all their framework arguments are irrelevant in the world of these two terms, which probably operate as a tiebreaker because you yourself, these two terms operate independent of any kind of fiat arguments or perm arguments and rather operate within your own epistemology. The first one I want you to go to is the value of life discussion. They say that, well, no, we say that value of life is key. We don't say it's bad, but you yourselves, in fact, literally the impact argument here is that there is, quote, no value to life in this world, which means only you can flow across all of those arguments here that saying that is the precondition, regardless of whether or not you say it's awesome in a world you say does not exist, it's a precondition to all the impacts you talk about because there's no incentive to protect anyone in their value of life, which means every single impact that you would like to go for to outweigh the cases immediately occurs. Also, what's up?
I say the argument that there's no, the MG only goes as far to say is we say there's no value to life with some external net benefit. I think this extrapolation, how it's the same interlink or somehow link turns the entire decay is an extrapolation.
Will literally calls it a link turn and says you now go against every single impact you talk about. I don't know how much more intuitive the phrase link turn can get, but unless you have something to say.
I mean, it's a panel.
Yeah.
I do have that on my foot, but it's a panel. It'll be under discussion.
Look, not only is this an operating independently within their own framework, but this also means in a world where we probably both link to the impact means you probably only give a precedence to the perm because their argument about why the perm would not solve because it's a violent ontology or it'll undo the movement or their ethic is probably solved back for the world where they equally link as well. Go to the second turn, however, that is the inviolability of the earth. We say that literally from the get-go, Will says that you posit the earth is some sort of pristine universe. That is the ultimate commodification. There's also link turns you. They say, no, we don't do that. We just simply say it's inviolable. That's literally pristine and inviolable are literally synonyms for each other. Saying that any kind of human interaction and management of the environment is inherently bad inevitably means that it is something pristine that humans should be kept away from. This is literally Will's argument here, which means your inviolability argument is not only something that feeds into us, but it is not a response, which means we can isolate this as therefore the root cause of all the commodification genocide arguments you make here, which means again these are two independent turns against their critique, but furthermore it only gives us also, it doubles as helpfulness for us on the perm because any argument about why we cannot solve because of the link to the critique is answered back by their own link turns into it. What's up?
It justifies extinction. Everybody has to go away in order for us to protect the environment to a reason.
Yeah, furthermore, it justifies extinction because Will says this is exactly how we justify, for instance, kicking people off their lands. It's literally what we do in Africa when we say, all right, we got to set up this wildlife park because white people want to see safari. So sorry, everyone who lived here first, get the hell out of here because we need this pristine and viable earth because it's quaint or some shit for us. Go to the alt proper now. First argument.
Oh, go do the answer their conservation argument.
Oh yeah, actually, really quickly on the link discussion. Yeah, actually, so we're gonna have the solvency discussion right now. look at there. We are actually positing that from the beginning of human evolution, and it's inevitable that we'll be exploiting the universe because we see the planet because we see ourselves as separate. All they say is that, well, we're just seeing how humans should act. That is not a response to how humans most likely will act, which means we're winning the probability debate of whether or not you actually solve, which means not only does it give us precedent for the perp, but also probably means you cannot solve the net benefit of the plan, which is another reason why you should vote for the perp. Furthermore, we say that your conservation argument is absolutely not true. Literally, the logic of conservation is we need to prove damages to ourselves. It is still positing human beings as the head of the universe, or of the earth.
That's the way that legal cases that allow for environmental protection are decided. Human beings have to.
Yeah. That's how legal cases concerning environmental damages occurs. Is you have to prove a damage to yourself, which posits human beings as the center of the control of the planet still, which means humans their own conservation argument. What's up?
The extrapolation about how, like, we posit human, like, I know you make the argument that that humans are seen as inviolable, but any extrapolation how this functions, I guess, functions as a link term to the K, because the MG doesn't say how the fact that core cases are decided is framed as offense against criticism.
Yeah, that's an answer to the conservation argument that you say is a reason why human management of the, like, the MG argument is human management of the environment inevitable, hardwired. You say conservation movement, we say no. Here's why.
So consider.
Yes.
You can't
Sorry,
choose.
Steve, next.
All right, everyone ready? Yeah, cool. Go to the alt proper debate. Pretty simple here. A lot of independent net benefits. Also, a lot of reason why you shouldn't buy the alt solvents to the alt. First of all, I think you should probably bias on this question of they don't say aft, they say alt like 5 times. Play it back. Second argument is also that you can control flow cost rules. Arguments absolutely concede to this. Absolutely no advocacy as to why rejection of the aft in particular in our instance is critical. But go to the independent net, which means in a world of like the net benefits of the perm versus the net benefits of the alt proper means you should probably prefer us. Go to the second net benefit, the Campbell one. All they say is this ontology is inevitably going to be violent. One, we tell the link to probably answer this, but technically, over we say that no, this new, even if they proved it somehow violent, they have not proven out that violence is particularly bad. We say this new ontology inherently will be a good one that allows us to solve back for your form of epistemology. But secondly, we tell you go for the contradiction net benefit. They say it's not a contradiction. We say that yes, either it is not a contradiction because your alt said reject the alt, or in fact is a contradiction when we get to full solvency net benefit of the contradiction, which means it allows for the solving of solvency of new forms of epistemology, which will help you solve back. Furthermore, we tell you that the net benefit inherently is in a world where you ignore genocide. You can look to Will's Rwanda argument, which means the violence that occurs in people against Africa, and also this particular Rwanda incident can only be solved for in a world of the perm that cannot be solved for in the world of the alt proper.